Hello, welcome to another edition of I forgot the name of the show.
You forgot your own show name? Come on, man. All right, I got this. I'm the host now. Welcome, everybody, to Cullen on Film with your host, CJ Cullen.
Yeah, you should do that. You should do that every episode.
No problem. I got you, man.
So our other guest, Kim Power, she's feeling under the weather, so I haven't heard back from her. So I'm trying to see. I was like running around. She told me she couldn't come on, and I was like doing my jog, doing my run. And I couldn't really stop because I've just started to exercise lately, and so I'm still exhausted right now.
It's all good, man. Hey,
so
man,
we got Christian in the house.
What's up, everybody? What's going on?
So it was great that you could come and fill in, and then and because we never get to go on, we haven't been on in a while together.
I know it has. I was in one of the shows you did with Jack Schuyler.
Oh yeah, you're in that. Yeah.
He seems like a really cool dude, and I started watching some of his flicks, and he's got some really great work actually. So
that guy works like all the time. He's like nonstop working, right? So do you now. You're always doing this. Why don't we go back and say, how did you get into the podcasting? How did you hook up with Ming and start doing all the production and podcasting yourself?
Oh, completely by accident.
That's what I
thought. Truth be told, it was a complete accident. So my friend Laura Vetter, shout out to Laura. She had a podcast for a hot second that she was doing with Ming, and she invited me to come be on.
Oh,
just to come hang out. And I was like, okay, no problem. I've never been on a podcast before. And she was like, don't worry, you'll do great. And I'm like, okay, dope. So then I go there, and then right before we enter the former Shared Universe spaces before we moved, Laura pulls me aside and is like, oh, my co-host is Ming from Comic Book Man. I was like, are you kidding me? You're telling me this now? like I'm a huge fan. And then I walk in, and he's like, oh shoot, you're PM Dawn's kid. What's up? And I was like, oh, no way. This is amazing. So
how did he know that right away?
So I think it was either Laura told her or because I had met Kevin prior, and either he told Ming and that I had met him. I don't know what the actual story is, but I think it just knew through the grapevine. But
it was funny seeing the reaction of the guys, the DJs from 106.3, and they didn't know the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
All of a sudden, out of nowhere, it just popped into like their heads.
But yeah, I mean, if you want to talk about that a little later, I'll go into that. But that's a whole other story.
But
regardless,
yeah.
But so yeah, me and we do the podcast. I do it. I do an episode of the Coral Sword Show, and it goes off really well. I had a lot of fun doing it. Yeah, representing.
We go to Houston every year. Couldn't go this year. I bought a hat.
Oh man, I've still never been, and I really want to go.
Oh, you should come with us next May. Next
May.
Yeah.
You know what?
I'm
gonna try and make that happen.
Yeah.
Because I've never been to Texas and I want to go.
The Hang On to Your Shorts crew we'll go down with Ming, and we'll try to get more people.
So so we hit it off, and Ming's like, "Hey, do you want to work for me?" And I was like, Am I on Candid Camera? And he's like, no, but do you want to work for me? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. Meanwhile, it was one of those things where it was like, I knew I couldn't say no because it was just so cool, but I knew nothing about podcasting, and I knew nothing about doing like audio work. So literally, I got the job, I went home, and I literally spent hours researching how to do audio engineering because I had watched my dad do it before. And then Ming brings me in to show me the setup, and I was like, oh, I way overthought this. This is even simpler. Like, this is crazy, but I love it. And I've been involved with a Shared Universe for I think almost 2 years now. Over 2 years. And
you came in pretty like early, right when it kind of started.
Yeah, right? I think I was their first hire. Too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just a random thing of coincidence, and it's been one of the best jobs I've probably will ever have, unless I work for myself. And
you kind of do work for yourself sometimes when you're making films.
I do, and that's what I love about it, is that I have something steady going on that also allows me to pursue my craft and work in my industry, and also build contacts within that. Because to be like, let's be honest, Chris, I would have never met you if it hadn't been for a shared universe.
Yeah.
But then it turns out you actually had saw one of my films before I even worked there.
Yeah.
And it was Draw.
That's right.
So then when I told you what film I made, you were like,
was
"Oh
like,
my
what?
God, that was you."
That happens in this industry so randomly. It's hysterical how those weird things happen like that, quite more often than you would expect.
But I love that though. Like, I think that's like, it's not just small world stuff. Like, I think that's so cool because we're all interconnected with this thing that allows us to tell stories one way or another, whether it's podcasting or filmmaking. And that's why I love both mediums so much, is because like one day I'll sit in on a Hang On to Your Shorts and have like listen to you and your friends talk about just independent filmmakers projects. So I always loved it, and being a part of this world, this shared universe, if you will, is truly an honor. Like, I've met some amazing people.
Yeah. Once we get out of this, I think we should have like a whole huge podcasting party once we're all clear to like hang out.
Oh my God, yeah. Like, oh my God, like the one we had before on the boardwalk. But I'll actually show up early when it's when there's more people.
I mean, like a setup where we bring in podcasters from all over, and they like almost like in Asbury, like in the convention hall, like
like one
convention.
Massive podcast.
Yeah, like the podcast convention would be amazing to do that, right? Or
that would actually be pretty cool. And then let's try and set the world record for the world's biggest podcast.
And everyone on the same time. You get the big screen and everyone goes on.
Yeah.
Is everybody lined up? Let's go.
Let's do it, CJ. Let's set the world record. We're going to do this. It's going to be amazing.
I did the world record thing for the most Jay and Silent Bobs. We did that in Red Bank. So why can't we do that most podcasters?
That's awesome. I remember seeing the news article for that, and I thought it was just the coolest thing, and I was so mad that I didn't end up going for whatever reason.
You had to get up it was very early in the morning, and I got up with Scott Churchin, and we dressed up and we went and had a blast.
Oh, that's incredible. Yeah, that's awesome.
And if you watch that episode of Comic Book Men, I'm in it.
Oh, no way.
As Silent Bob. I look horrible, but
that's the Shooting Clerks premiere episode that they also did that with, right?
Well, they filmed, it's a different episode, but they filmed the same day. Yes, you're right. They did film it because it was that night we went to the Shooting Clerks. And I remember I had a film festival that night. My film was playing at the House of Independent at a different film festival, not mine. So I was watching, and I've already seen Shooting Clerks. So I went the whole beginning, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, oh crap, my film is playing in Asbury soon. So I should
probably go see that.
I jumped in right. So I'm like, I'm all right. I wanted to stay, but I'm like, I gotta go. So I even told like Kevin and all them, like, see ya, bye. I've seen it already. And he's like, oh, okay. So I jump my car, I drive as fast as I can. I get a parking spot right by the place. I run in, my film starts.
Oh, that's awesome. That's beautiful. It was like, will he make it? It's like that scene from Ferris Bueller.
Yep. That's how I felt like.
Were you jumping over fences and,
it was close
and hopping through backyards, and it was, oh man.
So that was one of the craziest days ever. So I was up early that morning as Silent Bob, and I end up at the in Asbury watching my film, and a guy, so many people, it was packed, and they were all cracking up. It was my bicycle film, I believe, that I directed, Must Hurry, where a guy's riding a bicycle and you don't know what's going on.
Oh, okay. I already like that premise. It's like, it already fills you with like questions, and I love that, especially in a short film.
It's got a great ending. It's only 3 minutes, but you watch it and people are like, what is going on? Why is he rushing? What's going on? And then you find out.
That's the same thing with Draw, where people are really like that. People love the ending of that film. So for those who don't know, I did an animated, live action, quote unquote, animated short film called Draw, which is about two gunslingers meeting in the middle of the desert for a battle of puns. And I didn't think much of it, to be completely honest with anybody. Like, I mean, I wanted to make this cool little short that I could put online and do whatever, but then I showed it to one of my friends and they're like, you should put this in film festivals and see what happens. And that's how I got my first film award.
Wow.
My first ever best animated film at the $2 film festival in New York. And it was for Draw. And I will always be proud of that.
That's awesome.
I was nominated. I was very close to being in Art All Night, but then that thing went down.
Oh, that was the night where the gun. I was going that morning.
Draw was playing that night when that happened. I was supposed to go too. I like, part of me was like, damn, I missed my fit. But then I was like, no, you were fine. Like, that was crazy.
Yeah, I was going to go that night, and I said, I'll go early in the morning Sunday, because my films were playing Sunday. But I wanted to go Saturday night. I was like, I'll stay over there. I'll go, and I'll get a hotel or something to just chill, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't. I got up early in the morning. I turned on the TV. Gunfire, shots. I was like, what?
It wasn't that crazy. Like, oh my God, it was a nutty time. But yeah, so Draw was playing there. I also had it in the Garden State. No, I had it in the Jersey Shore Film Festival for 1 year. Yeah, it played at the House of Independence, and I missed it.
Oh, you missed it?
I was so mad. Like, that's the funniest part, is my Draw won awards. Never went to a single festival except for yours when you presented the nominations, and I was there, and I thought that was one of the coolest things.
You saw
my name? No, I didn't get to see it, but I watched it
because it was early, right? It was early.
Yeah, but I wanted to show support, so I went out, and it was just. We
did announce your name, right? We announced your name for a nomination.
You did. I didn't win though, but it was funny because you were like, none of the people are here, and then right after you said that, you spotted me and was like, oh no.
It is hard. Like, we get a lot of animation, and this year coming up, even though we moved it to September, we got some amazing animation. So I tried to fit as much as I could in, but it's hard to get an audience for the animation. I don't know why. It's like, come see the animation. Where the people that make it, they don't come to the festivals.
It's a shame because people still associate animation with kids media because, well, that's just how it was for the longest time. And I think now, especially, we're starting to see a break in that tradition where a lot of shows are becoming shows and movies are coming out that are animated that aren't necessarily for children. While I think it's going to be a little bit longer for it to be like the norm, but it's slowly starting to be accepted more and more. And I think it's also being taken seriously a bit more and more.
Yeah.
Because these films take such a long time to make. They're literally constructed from the bottom up. Then, like, it's an amazing thing to watch an animated film get made. So I hope soon enough that they start getting the more and more respect that they deserve.
I'll never forget going to the theater to see bigger, stronger, uncut South Park.
Oh my God. You want to know an awesome story? So my dad was a huge fan of that movie.
Of the movie, yeah.
Yeah, well, of the show too, but he loved
yeah.
South Park because he kind of thought he looked like Chef, which I thought was that's actually kind of true. So one of his buddies went to the South Park movie opening night. My dad didn't go for whatever reason, and the guy comes back to the house and he's like, "Yo, I got you something," and it's this giant chef head that they use to promote the movie.
Wow.
And my dad was like, "Yo, where'd you get that?" He was like, "Yo, they were throwing it away." And my dad was like, "They were throwing it away?" Okay. I like, they weren't throwing it away, but it seemed like they didn't need it anymore. And it's still in our garage to this day.
Really?
This humongous chef head that I will never get rid of because it's one of the coolest things ever. For the longest time in my garage, we had a Herbie Fully Loaded stand-in that was a fully built Herbie the Love Bug made out of cardboard standing in my garage for the longest time because you could sit in it. And obviously for me at 10 who actually wanted a vehicle like Herbie, that was like the coolest thing ever.
Is she on it too?
Yeah, Lindsay Lohan was there. My favorite parody photo, of course, being the Muppets parody of Forrest Gump, and it's Kermit sitting on the bench. and that was the one that I actually grew up noticing what that was. And then my dad was like, "That's actually a parody." Oh, it's not an actual movie? This is disappointing.
Maybe there will be one day. Maybe they'll make it now.
Maybe. I mean, I would hope so. I think that'd be.
They haven't done a Muppet movie in a while. Disney owns them now, but they haven't done one in a while.
Disney owns them, but a lot of people have some questions about how they're kind of treating the Muppet property. Because if you kind of look into it, they're kind of being treated as the black sheep. Like they barely get mentions when new stuff is announced. There's not really much focused on that area anymore, and that really kind of breaks my heart because those characters have so much potential, and it's been proven to work. Like it's not just a thing of the past that can move into now. Like the Muppets are almost an institution that can.
Do they have anything in like Disney World or Disneyland on the Muppets?
They have the Muppets 3D, which I think is still there. Yeah, it's still there. Muppets 3D, which is a ride where it's like you watch a movie, but you go into the Muppet Theater and you watch them try and put on this amazing 3D spectacular show.
Yes, absolutely. So we were talking Muppets and all that, and
I think I'm going to take that as God's response is to not me wanting to talk about the Muppets.
Yeah, probably not.
He's probably like, you've had enough of that forever. Shut up.
Jim Henson's looking down.
He's like, relax. It's like, fine, you'll direct the movie eventually, but relax.
So I know you said in the past that you do puppeteering.
I do.
Well, have you done any lately? Have you created any new puppets or?
I'm not a builder, so I don't build them as much. I'll have some people that I know. Yeah, like I know some really talented builders and performers. But as far as creating new stuff these days, I haven't really. The last time I think I really did anything puppet related was technically draw, but I did a short thing called the Jimbo and Bob Show because I have these two characters who, whenever I'm in like a writing rut, I'll always go to these guys. Like they're like my Muppets basically. So like I'll always write and see what they're up to just to kind of put something to paper and get the brain juices flowing. For a long time, a lot of projects were just exclusively just Jimbo and Bob stories. And then eventually I grew out of that, but I would always write for these characters. And then 2 summers ago, my brother was just like, yo, like, let's just make something. It's the middle of the summer. Like, you're out of film school. Like, let's just do something. And we did 3 episodes of the Jimbo and Bob Show, and people actually really liked them. And I want to do more, but I truly would love to do, and I'm going to sound nuts because of course I am. I would love to do an independent puppet feature film that I think would be just the funniest thing in the world. Because
I was cracking up before your comment about the it's gone now. It's not there because we're a new thing. But when I was talking to when I was talking before, and we were talking about musicals, and you're talking about creating a musical. Did you see me like crying all of a sudden?
Yeah, you were starting to laugh, and then I was like, "Oh no, I didn't mean to throw off his groove." I felt so bad. I was like, "Oh no, CJ, I'm sorry. I was just trying to make you laugh."
I turned, I laughed, and I lost my train of thought.
Oh man, but it's funny enough. Like, even though I love that stuff and I love Muppet music and I love musicals, mine wouldn't be a musical. My puppet film that I've currently been outlining and actually kind of writing, I'm 60 pages in now, is a sci-fi equivalent that is Groundhog Day meets Project X. And it's called Live Party Repeat. Still am doing puppetry here and there. I am practicing still to kind of keep it up. But as far as like it being like the main thing, it's not really that anymore. I'm starting to drift more into like writing and directing and doing and producing my own projects. Of course, I'll always be that performer. And sometimes like I'm still contemplating on whether or not I want to try and get some sort of gig on the upcoming Sesame Street movie as just an additional puppeteer, because I know that they're going to need that. So who knows? But regardless,
that would be really cool if you did that, though. It'd be really cool experience.
I know, it would be so amazing.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where it's just another tool in my tool belt. So I'll apply it to like other projects that I'm coming up with. Like right now, I got this preschool show pitch that I just finished the Bible on.
If you get a preschool show, those things, man, once they hit, holy cow.
I know. I have because I grew up in a very strong musical household.
Yeah.
I grew up surrounded by great bands, great music, played all the time. So then when I was much younger and I got told about what the Wiggles were and stuff like that, I was a little annoyed because part of me was like, all right, this is cool, it's friendly, kid-friendly music, but at the same time they kind of played down because they played down to us being kids.
Yeah.
So, like they didn't understand that kids were kind of more susceptible to understanding what music can be and different genres and stuff like that. Yeah, lyrical content can be educational, of course.
Yeah.
But music doesn't have to be played down because it's for kids. You can create something that everyone can listen to.
Those guys just killed it though, right? With those
they killed it. I created something that's like my an amalgamation of a few different types of projects, like Muppets meets Wiggles and stuff like that. So that's what that pitch is right now, and I'm trying to see where that could take me because why not? Let's see where it goes.
Did you ever see that show Lazy Town?
I did. Funny story on my Facebook profile. I have a banner photo that is a behind the scenes shot of them filming Lazy Town. And because I just thought it was one of the funniest things because it's all the puppeteers are dressed in green except this one guy who's wearing a normal t-shirt, but his pants are the green screen, the green screen pants. And I put it on my profile because I thought it was just so funny. And then the puppeteer was like, "Hey, that's me." I didn't realize I was friends with him on Facebook.
Wow.
And I was like, "That's so cool." And he told me it was his first gig being a children's puppeteer. And he got to go out to Iceland where they filmed the show.
We just interviewed, my student just interviewed the girl from the show.
No way. That's awesome.
the last episode. She's on it.
That's insane.
Yeah,
that's
go back and listen. Yeah, she was on it as a kid. Yeah.
That's incredible. But yeah, I mean, I love the medium regardless. And I mean, of course I have aspirations of directing like feature films and TV shows and stuff like that. But I mean, if I do end up working in a market where it is making like Nickelodeon shows or even Nickelodeon films, animated films, like I feel like that's where I could really excel.
Yeah.
So that's where I've been trying to kind of find my footing. I
always wanted to be in. I was talking to someone a couple episodes back about another actor saying how like when we were kids we wanted to be on Nickelodeon, like do Nickelodeon shows. I said now I wouldn't mind being like a father on one of those shows, like Nick or Disney, like one of the dads, the old dad.
Because when you're one of those characters and it's like well written, like imagine you end up being on like the next iCarly and not realizing it. Like Jesus, like that show blew up to a point where the first lady was on that show. Like, are you kidding me? Like,
I used to watch that because I did aftercare at school, and the kids would have iCarly on. So I was like, this is pretty funny.
Yeah, like it was. I mean, it was silly funny, but like it was one of those shows where it was like, this is fun. Like, I don't mind watching this with my kids, and like this is entertaining to me also as an adult.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I understand that it's not their market, but like that's the type of stuff like I would love to make. Oh, without a doubt. I think it works. And if I ended up being someone that worked in that space, so be it. I love that stuff. I have like a huge amount of respect for the people that work in that field because it is difficult to write for kids. They are your harshest critic. They will tell you what they think.
It's not easy. And a lot of those shows, like a lot of them come and go real quick. They don't last. Like there's like one or two that like last seasons, but some just come out for a season and then they're gone. They're gone. I think Disney, I just heard this the other day. They usually do like 3 seasons and out, like for everything, 3 and out.
Yeah. Disney's maximum show amount is 4 seasons and then it's done.
Yeah.
And then that's really it. There's only been like, I think a handful of shows that have broken that mold, and one of them just ended. So Disney for me, it's weird because I know that rule for them. I don't get excited for their shows as much because I know in like 4 years it's over.
Yeah.
It's like, why would I get excited over something that I know is going
Unless
to
it's like a big hit, maybe they do extra stuff or make a movie or something, right? TV movie.
Where, like, for example, that show that just ended was called Star versus the Forces of Evil. It was a great show, but I knew it was on Disney. I was like, oh, that's going to be on for like 5 years, and then that's it. But it ended up being one of the ones that broke the mold, and it was on for 7.
We had a girl while we were doing this, and I asked her to send, like, sometimes I ask celebrities to send videos to my students. She was on the Thundermans, I guess the Thundermans, Kira Kazarian, one of the superhero family.
You ever see that? So cool. I have heard of the Thundermans. I haven't watched it. Mm-hmm. That was a little past my time, but I keep up with that stuff.
Yeah.
But that's awesome. I love that you're I love that your students are able to do that, and I love how they interview people on this as well. I think what you got going here is special.
You got to keep thinking of new stuff, right? You gotta be creative, otherwise,
or you'll go freaking mad. Yeah. Trust me, I know.
I got it, and then, like, I'm not in the studio, I'm not in the school, we're not filming, so you got to come up with new stuff. So I'm like, and I realized this when I was talking to Ming. Originally, I said, I want to get some interviews for my kids in school, and not all of them have to be, like, just some that we do, because they're arts people, and I want to get that. And then all of a sudden I was like, wait a minute, everyone's home and everyone's saying yes. So I started emailing, like, big stars. I'm like, hey, come on my show, come on your show.
That's awesome, dude. I love that. I think that's so cool.
And you just get, I've learned, like, don't be afraid to ask. They can say no. They can say no or don't answer you, or say, oh yeah.
That's just it, man. That's it. Like, that's the mentality I've always been in, especially in the last few years, because hey, that's how I got a gig writing songs for Thomas the Tank Engine for a hot second for their YouTube channel, to specify. But yeah, man, it's just asking.
You got to put up your stuff so people can see it, like your songs and stuff.
I shall. You can find me on YouTube most of the time at Arcade, like an old school arcade machine productions. You will find a hodgepodge of various different forms of content, some ranging from kids' music to some weird puppet shows to just whatever the hell I feel like posting at the moment.
Didn't you do that Toys R Us one?
I did do a Toys R Us song. I wrote a song. I wrote a ballad about Toys R Us closing down, and it went small time viral, and it was really cool. People still come up to me and like, you wrote the Toys R Us goodbye song, and I was like, yeah, I did. And they're like, they're reopening. Yes, I know they're reopening.
I thought they were, but I haven't heard anything since. So who knows if they?
I think it was a pop up, but it was so funny because after they announced it, just a flood of comments came in. They're reopening. They're reopening. You got to make a new song. They're reopening. I was like, I don't care.
Yeah,
that's not Toys R Us.
No, it's like Jeffrey's Toy Box, and they were like small little, like you said, pop ups probably.
Oh, I'm jealous of LA when it comes to their pop-ups.
They do a lot.
I know, but they just did one on my birthday. I was so mad that I wasn't in LA because I was actually supposed to be in LA for my birthday.
Yeah.
And they did the movies pop-up for Kevin Smith.
That's right.
And I was mad.
How long would it? Well, now we can't go out there. But
no, it went on for like I think half a month. Yeah. It was on for a minute, and it ended on my birthday. I was so sad.
Wow. Some of those pop-ups that are a huge hit keep going. If they can keep paying the rent, they just keep going for longer, right? Longer until it starts dying out, I guess.
If they hadn't demolished, that's very true. But if they hadn't demolished the movies that they used to film in Clerks 2, that would have been the perfect location.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I appreciate the safety taken. I just 2020 is hot dog water to me right now. Like, I'm over it.
It was the best start. January, February was so strong, and then
who would have thought January movies would have been majorly important?
Man. But we'll get through it, and
we will.
But thanks for coming on, man. And
thank you for having me.
Being a good guest here. Nice quick fill in. It worked out. It was cool. And it was a lot of fun.